The game we're taking a look at today is Pebble Beach Golf Links by T&E Soft, and yes, it's a golf game.
What?
So as everyone fumbles to click the back button on their browser as quickly as possible, I'm hoping at least a few of you will hear me out. Yes, it's a golf game, but it's a really great golf game, and one that definitely shouldn't be forgotten. Pebble Beach changed how golf games were played on home consoles, and made everyone's expectations skyrocket for what future golf sims could be. So if you can bear to hear me talk about a Super NES golf game for the next 5 minutes or so, then grab your favorite tea-based lemonade and get ready to learn all about Pebble Beach Golf Links on the Super NES. Loading the game up gives you a fairly standard golf game menu. You can select a few different ways you want to play and change a few options here and there, but by and large there's not much to do beyond picking your golfer and your trusty caddy before heading out onto the links. Things start to get a bit more interesting as you get onto the course though. If you had eyes and lived in the early 90s, you'd quickly notice that this game didn't look like any other golf game out at the time, and for good reason. Pebble Beach is modeled completely in 3D. While other golf games were using overhead views or maps so flat that they made Pilot Wings jealous, Pebble Beach was fully realized in gloriously chunky polygons, making each hole have its own character and unique challenge. Sure, it couldn't really do 3D motion or anything like that, but just seeing the course laid out before you as a 3D model changed the way you approached the game. It was really something special, and way ahead of its time, especially on a home console like the Super NES. The 3D course also did more than just make the game look cool. Modeling the course in 3D finally added a crucial element that was missing in most golf games up to that point, that being elevation. Now not only were you trying to judge power and shot placement, but also actual height and depth to each hole. And what better place to do it on than Pebble Beach, a course that uses a literal chasm in the middle of one of its holes as an actual selling point. The game capitalizes on this as well with its 3D model, using depth and elevation to show off the insanity of its real-life counterpart. Of course, that would all mean nothing if it didn't change the gameplay as well, and Pebble Beach delivers with excellent physics that sends your ball all over the place depending on the surface and the angle. Suddenly, a bad shot just didn't bring up a big out-of-bounds screen and send you back to your previous shot. In Pebble Beach, if you hit a ball down a rocky cliff, your next shot's probably gonna be at the bottom of that rocky cliff. Doing so finally felt like you were playing a real game of golf, instead of just the shootouts that other golf games were content in being. Beyond the graphics though, Pebble Beach plays like your standard golf game for the most part. You get the tried and true 2-click power meter for judging the power of your shots, along with an overhead map for figuring out just where the hell on the course you actually are. Add in a wind gauge and you've got yourself everything you need to play a game of electronic golf. Pebble Beach does, however, add one unique thing to the gameplay department though, that being the golf ball. Yes, after you've finished swinging for the fences with the power meter, this little golf ball comes up with a red dot running across the face of it. No, it's not a new horrific form of golf ball measles. It actually indicates where you want to strike the ball. Hit the ball on the bottom and you'll get a nice high, floaty shot with a ton of backspin. Hit the ball on the top and you'll get a fast, low shot that will usually continue to roll after it hits the grass. It may not seem like much, but the added precision made it that much more important on how you approached each hole, especially with the aforementioned extreme elevation changes on some holes. Besides that though, Pebble Beach didn't stray too far from the established golf game formula. So Pebble Beach was obviously trying to up the game for console golf, but is it perfect? Not by a long shot. It's definitely got problems here and there, putting probably being the worst offender. To put it bluntly, putting sucked butts. All that neat elevation that the game's graphics brought with it were pretty much tossed out the window as soon as your ball was on the green. Now you're up against a giant flat shaded polygon with only a few tools on how to read it. You could pull up a grid that tried to show you the elevation a bit better, but it never seemed to be very accurate with how the ball actually traveled. You also get some basic metrics showing you how far out you are and where the hole is in relation to you, but it's just not enough to ever make putting anything more than a cruel guessing game if you're more than 5 feet away. Beyond that, Pebble Beach was also pretty threadbare in the stuff you could actually do with it. Yes, having those super cool graphics really changed how things played, but at the cost of only having one course in the entire game. This especially sucked when other golf games were offering up to 6 to 7 courses in an equally priced game. Pebble Beach is an amazing course and all, but it's probably going to get boring after a few dozen times through it. You could also only play stroke play, skins, and a tournament. leaving you even more limited in the things that you can do on that single course. Even with its inadequacies compared to its peers, Pebble Beach was still far and away my favorite golf game back in the 90s. Having the fully realized course suddenly made each round feel completely different. And even though it lacked the features of other more established golf games, it still delivered in feeling far more like an actual game of golf than any of the other games could. I played this game for probably dozens of hours as a kid, and I'm still amazed at just how much fun it is now, problems and all. Sure, those awesome 3D graphics look like crap now, but this is still one hell of a golf game. So if you're in the mood for some simple golf fun, and if you didn't stop watching this as soon as I mentioned the word golf, then definitely check out Pebble Beach for the Super NES. It's still one of the best golf games for the system, and one that I'll never get tired of playing.